Welcome to Miss Winn Checkin In, the space where creativity meets healing. Here, we explore the path of mindful expression through the lens of writing, wellness, and soulful storytelling. Take a moment to pause and ask yourself, how are you feeling right now? If you're watching this on YouTube, drop an emoji in the comments to represent how you're feeling. And then let's check in at the end. Let's take a deep breath, tune in, and prepare to create from within. Hey, 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 Miss Winn checking in. What's up? Welcome to my podcast where we will be talking all things mind, body, and spirit. And today I have the fabulous Fabs on. I know her, and if you have been following Miss Winn, my account for a while, then you have seen her face before. Author, writer, philanthropist, all of that, you name it. This girl, she is busy in the community. And so, before I take over her introduction, let her introduce herself and we'll jump right into it.
All right. I'm Fabs. Real name is Fabrine. Everybody always says Fabs for fabulous. But when I say Fabrine, they stop in their tracks and they're like, what? So I have to pronounce it for them. I'm a writer and poet. I write music, all that fun stuff. And I'm just excited for our next level of life because the project Circle Life that we've all been working on is going to skyrocket
Oh, yeah.
fast.
Oh, yeah. And so, if you don't know, what she's talking about is the Circle of Life book. I actually have the second one here. This is a proof copy of it. Let's see if my camera will focus. This is a proof copy. Inside these padded walls is the name that it's under. And so, definitely check that out. I will show a better picture in the editing of it so that people can see it. But okay, let's just jump right into it then.
All
Can
right.
you share a moment from your personal healing journey that significantly influenced your writing?
A moment, one moment. I don't even know where to begin. I just get inspired and the downloads, they just come naturally. So, but I feel like what kicked off my whole poetry and songwriting was an emotion that I felt when I discovered what real love is like and what I got a little taste of it. Everybody knows that know me personally already know that I'm in a delusional relationship. But I think just that moment of spending time with someone that actually like saw my soul and I felt you saw my soul without me sharing it, it inspired me so much. The
Mm,
chemistry, the feelings that I had to like work through, the trauma that I had to work through, am I having attachment issues, like those things. And when I was able to work through that and experience that, that just kicked everything off.
yeah, and a lot of times I want to say, even for myself, well, this podcast is a interview. It's also a discussion, and so I just want the sharing to be pretty natural. But I know for myself, I don't know if it was somebody. It A lot of times it is like an external person, or it's like you get a taste or a preview of what life can be like, and it's almost like you do compare. I know people say don't compare, but sometimes you got to compare to know what you like. Like, okay, let me compare, this last year to this year so I know how to move forward in this year. And so there's instances where it's like, no, I have to compare so I can know what the hell it is that I want. And
Especially when
so,
it comes to like dating. Like I've
mhm.
never really dated in my life. I've always like had a relationship and it's always been like super long, but was watching my daughter go through the shit that she was going through, I was always telling her date, 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 like find somebody that is going to mimic you, find somebody that's going to like partner with you, not somebody that you have to raise, not somebody that you have to, do all that stuff with. It's supposed to come to you naturally and you guys like build together as partners, and
Mhm.
I never really had that opportunity to do that with myself. So now since I've been single for like almost 4 years, maybe even a little bit more, now I understand why I'm not dating and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I know someday, whether it be this lifetime or next lifetime, I'm going to have that.
Mhm. Yeah. And so how did that experience with this person trickle into your writing? I know how it did, but tell the audience.
It just did. The yearning for the relationship, the yearning for the connection, not being able to see this person when I want all day long, like when you're in a relationship and you wake up to somebody, like you're used to that type of relationship. And since it's not like that, I'm like lost. Like, what do I do? Like, are you
Mm,
mad? Like, just trauma, trauma. And I write about that. I write about the trauma, about how I feel when I feel lonely, because we're all human. We're not meant to be by ourselves. And we all feel lonely sometimes when we are by ourselves. And I write that stuff down and it helps me see like where is that I need to shadow work more on. But I've been doing so much better. Like I would cry, I would cry and be like, why doesn't
mhm,
he love me? It wasn't about him. It was about me loving myself. And so
mm,
we had a conversation last month and he was telling me, like, how can I help you, with you not being so shy or like trying to talk to people. And we realized together that it was my trauma. And I
mm,
started talking about like how I was feeling. And I even started freaking crying. And I'm like, you're making me cry. But I felt so safe with him
mm,
that I was able to express that. And he was just like, I looked up to you when, because we've been friends forever, but he was like, I looked up to you back then. Like, I wanted to do what you were doing. I wanted to be better than he was. And I had no idea that
wow.
he even felt that way. So when he told me that, it was like, okay, I could do this. I could
Mhm,
write. I could do this. I've been patient this long. He's been patient this long. And when the time comes, I feel like it's going to be like such a powerful connection that we
mhm,
can actually build together. And I'm not going to have to worry about him being mean to my kids or me trying to take over his bank account or his house, because he does have his
mhm.
own place. I just want to be there to better him. And I think he knows that now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's amazing. That's amazing to be able to not only just write about it, but also to talk about it with the person who has been impactful in your life in a good way. One of the things what I was thinking about with this question in particular is the books that you've written. So we've shown the Circle of Life workbook. That was the workbook number 2. But I remember years ago, we published together a book called Love Chronicles. Let's talk about that because I feel like, does homie know that this book was partially about him? No,
I mean,
dropping the ball.
I try to tell him, like, I always say
Mhm.
thank you to him. Like, I don't think he comprehends it, or he probably doesn't believe it because he's never had a girl like me in his life. In this aspect, we've been friends before, but it's different now. Like the
Yeah.
respect, the admiration, the love, it's all real and rare and pure. But like, I tell him, like, I appreciate you so much. Like, you have no idea, like, what you sparked in me. And I see all these streams that are happening with the music that or the songs that he influenced, and I'm always telling him, and he's just like, this is you. You don't need to thank me. Like, this is you doing you. Yes,
Mhm.
it's me doing me. It's me tapping into my own gifts. But dude, like
Yeah.
you sparked that. Like we sparked that. Like I don't want to let that go. I refuse to let it go. I have people like, just let it go. Like if you guys were going to be together, it should have been by now. Like maybe you should accept the fact that he doesn't want you. But how do I accept that when you're the one that like sparked this? I could never not want to be around you. I could never be mad at you, even if you did something that I would be upset about. I could never be mad at you because of how much respect and love that bubbled this. I don't think he
Mm.
understands that or he comprehends that all the way.
Yeah, it's like he was the inspiration there for a lot of the songs that you wrote and like I said, a lot of the books that have been written. So then, well, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's pull back the cover on that and talk about some of these complex emotions that have come from your personal experiences and you've been able to turn them into like narratives for your book and for your songs that you write. Like what's that process like?
Well, I'm not singing songs yet. I'm still doing the spoken words tracks, but I feel like it's time for me to like really hone down on it and start singing. I'm just very like I figured this out too with the emotions and writing, but I feel like when I'm in a space and I have to close my eyes because I close my eyes, or I think everybody does when they're singing heartfelt from the heart. And I feel like when I close my eyes, I can't see what's going on around me. And that's trauma because I'm like, if I close my eyes, what are you going to do to me if when I close my eyes? Am I safe? When I close my eyes. And Chase and I were having this conversation, and I'm like, now that I know that's where that stems from, now I know to work on that. I'm safe, and I need to remind myself that I'm safe. So I do need to start singing for sure. But the songs that I did write, I had somebody sing for me. So she was singing the words that I wrote about this relationship that had inspired the whole songwriting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And shout out to Chase Green Music.
Woo!
Shout out to him for picking up this little girl
Yes.
and taking her worldwide with her streams. How many streams have you had now
Um,
on role play?
I think we're at like 120 on role play. And
Wow.
they were like at 113 on uneven terrain.
We're talking
And then,
about 113,000, right? Okay,
yeah,
okay, okay.
113,000 people. And then when Big Mike played my song on his radio, it was 60,000 people that just like
Wow.
heard me. And I felt naked. But I was still in the corner. Like I like being in the corner in my room and I was screaming. And my daughter's like in the shower and she's like, "What's going on? I'm on the fucking radio."
Yeah.
I don't know who was more shocked, me or her, because she was staring at me and I'm staring at her.
Yeah, just both looking at each other like, what's going on? This is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I
Well,
was like, I'm on the radio.
yeah, talk about that though. Talk about doing things scared and maybe not even all the way healed, right? Because just from the outside looking in, from everything that you said, it's like you're still in the process of healing, you're working through it, but even then, you're still taking these big actions, right? Because I just feel like there could be someone listening and they're like, oh, I'm not going to do XYZ until I'm fully healed. Like, talk about that a little bit.
It's hard. I have
Yeah.
to work through these emotions every single day that I open my eyes. It's like an ongoing battle that I don't even think that is going to end. I don't think that somebody is 100% healed. We may say that we're healed and we feel better, but some trigger might trigger us and then we're falling or we're crashing because I spiral. Once I start overthinking or I'm triggered, I just start spiraling under. So my battle is not going so low, but feel the situation, work through it, and then let it go. And it's so
Mhm.
hard because my trauma is not like little trauma. My trauma is huge. I've had
Mhm.
a lot of trauma from being a daughter of a drug addict, from being taken advantage in a sexual way in the workplace. Like I have a lot of trauma, but
Mhm.
I don't let it define me when it comes to writing. I just write about it in hopes that somebody is going through what I'm going through and they can see. Like I'm still standing. I'm still waking up in the morning. Days are harder than others, but you just have to get up and do it. And I hated even Sandy. I love you, girl, but she's always trust the process. And one time I was like, fuck the process,
Yeah.
she always says trust the process, but she's so right. She's
Mm.
so right. We have to feel these emotions in order
Mhm.
for us to get them out. But I don't think anybody's 100% healed. So if you're waiting to be healed, you may never do what it is that you want to do because you're waiting for nothing.
Boom. Bingo right there. Yeah. Yeah. Because at what point, I remember there was a time where I was in therapy and my therapist asked me, she said, well, because I asked her, actually, I said, well, when are we going to be done? Like, is this a 12 session, 7 session kind of a thing? And she's like, well, when do you want to be done? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I just thought that was a weird question. I said, well, I want to be done when I feel like we have nothing left to talk about. And I went in there for one thing, and we ended up talking about something totally different. And so I ended up ending therapy with her, not because the conversation was over, but because I ended up moving. But at the same time, the conversation was kind of over because I just felt like I'm talking myself in a circle, and I didn't really think things were getting a whole lot better, But what therapy did do for me is it made me feel more confident in myself. Like I could trust myself and I can trust my intuition. And just having that therapist there and telling her my own ideas and what I was going through and having her kind of assure me, that's exactly what I needed. And so I know for some people, they don't get therapy. Therapy comes in different forms. And maybe we can talk about that a little bit. I don't recall if you've been to therapy or not, so maybe we can start there. And then what are some other um, therapeutic practices that you have that have helped you just along this journey?
Well, I feel like with my therapist that I've ran across throughout my lifetime, I was doing the interview. I was interviewing therapists and listening to some of their feedback on little things that I would expose to them because my things are big. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd give them like a little on the surface of what it is that I'm working through. And the one thing that I did not like, and I stopped looking for a therapist, is when they try to give you advice about something that they've never gone through. So you're
Mm,
telling me this is what you did or you're doing, but you don't know if it works for you because you're not going through it. So how can I depend on your advice or take that into consideration when you have no idea what it feels like to be what I'm feeling like? So you're
mm,
just like, here, let me prescribe you your medication, come back next week or whatever, and then we'll talk about, say, your mom, for example. But why? You don't
mm-hmm.
have problems with your mom. So how are you going to tell me how you deal with your mom? And maybe I can do the same way if you're not going through that. So I have a really love-hate relationship with therapy. But I
Mm,
also feel like you're saying, you're talking and you're talking about it and you hear yourself, sometimes you're going in circles, because you're talking about it so much, but it
mm,
never ends because
mm,
it's a circle and it goes and it goes and it goes and you're right in the middle and you're just going through all these phases and phases and phases, but I don't think it ever ends.
mm, mm,
So you have to start looking for other things to kind of cope, your coping mechanisms. So I get tattoos because self-infliction was an issue for me when I was in high
mm,
school. So when I discovered tattoos and I feel so like stressed out inside and I need to like burn it out somehow. A tattoo is a representation of burning inside and that pain you're feeling while you're tattooing me. I'm not feeling it in my heart anymore because I'm feeling the pain of the tattoo you're giving me. And
mm,
every time I could touch it, I'm like, okay, it's there, it's there, it's there. And at the end is a beautiful design of something meaningful that I wanted on my body. But that could only last for so long. You could
yeah,
only get so many tattoos and you're deflecting your pain from internal to external, but like I'm not taking my tattoo artist home with me. So
right.
I have to find other ways,
Come on,
So
girl.
then
Yeah,
I'm all, come on, let's go.
yeah.
I'm like, do my neck, and then I started going to the gym, but that
Mm,
got hard on me. So I stopped going to the gym. Then I started hiking and looking at sunsets, and that helped. But
mm,
now I'm not hiking because of the weather,
mm,
and the sunsets are getting hard. Like now with all the fires that are happening, I don't even want to go towards the beach. I get so sad, because
mm,
everything that's going on. So what do I do now?
mm,
And that's where I'm at right now. Like, what do I do now other than writing? I just
yeah.
write, and then this project that we're working on, like, I feel like every time I get
Mm,
into it and I start reading it, I'm just like so proud of us from when we started. I'm for you, for me, for everybody when we started in life, when we first
mm,
met. And now look at, we're like, we have an orientation with the school district on the 25th of February. And I am so excited to talk
nice.
to these parents about the projects that we have going on, about the scholarship. Like everybody's open to it. So now I need to like put all my trauma away and step
Mm,
out in confidence. Like, this is me. I've been through this
mm,
and all that stuff. And it's just hard because we're reliving, right? Remember when we had the conversation?
yeah.
We're reliving the trauma, period. And we
Mm,
still have all these emotions that we need to deal with when we're reliving the trauma. Now we're just pros at it.
yeah. Yeah. And I think something that you mentioned earlier about something, maybe you're not ever completely healed, but what happens is that floor gets raised a little bit higher. So even if something triggers you and you feel like you're spiraling, you're not going to go as low as you did the first time you live through that experience. And so for me, I think that's what it's about. I know years ago, I want to say it may have been like 2 or 3 years now, I had a author I was working with, Dr. Betty Wright. I always bring her up because she said this and it was so powerful and profound for me. She said, healing really is just about having better days. And again, with the comparison thing, like, okay, is today better than yesterday? Or is today better than last year this time? And for me, even right now, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Right now is better than last year. Right now is better than 2, 3. Right now is better than that time where I was in the trauma. Yeah. And so I can say, yeah, I'm healing. But again, like you said a minute ago, sometimes we do revisit those traumas, especially because we have decided that this pain is now going to be my purpose. Like you said earlier, about sharing, you've made it your purpose to share your pain so that somebody else can make it through. And it's clear that that's something that you value because, like you said, with your therapist, girl, if you ain't never been through this, how are you going to tell me how to get through this? And that is important. And that's the purpose as well of this podcast is you guys will be hearing from guests who have gone through things, and we all go through things, but it's also in how you handle it. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying you have to turn your pain into purpose because some people just don't want to do that. Some people just don't want to relive that experience. And
Mhm.
I honor that and I respect that. But there's those of us who have found comfort in retelling these stories, resharing these stories, letting other people know, hey, these are things that have happened to me. These are things that might have happened to you. But you know what? You've channeled that pain into songs. You've channeled or spoken word. I keep saying songs, girl. I just feel like this
I
music thing.
know.
I done said songs like 3 times. Come, we're waiting for a
It's like,
song
what do you
from
call
you.
them? What do you call them? Do you call them? So I asked Chase, like, what do you call them? Songs,
Yeah.
tracks? Like, I don't know what to call them because I'm not singing, but he's like, but they're songs. It's
Yeah.
music. So they're songs,
Yeah.
And they're
Song,
so
spoken word.
meaningful.
Mhm.
They're so meaningful and they touch a lot of people, especially uneven terrain. I got so many DMs saying, thank you
Mm.
for making this. Or this one girl, she's on her sobriety journey and she tells me when she feels like bad, she plays that song and it makes her feel better. So I'm
Wow.
like, dang, this is the reason why we're supposed to do this. A lot of people don't want to do it because they don't want to be accountable for their part of why they're in what they're in. They don't want
Wow.
to be accountable of knowing that you have to break that cycle sooner or later, no matter what it's going to look like. Like somebody has to make the move somehow. And a lot of people are afraid of that. Like my
Yeah.
oldest son, he doesn't like change. And a lot of people don't like change, but we have
Mm-hmm.
to do it. That's our life purpose. Like when they say, what is the example? Extend an olive branch or love your neighbors in the Bible or whatever. That is part of us sharing. That's what we're doing. It may not be like in a biblical sense, but a Bible is written by man. So whoever that wrote the Bible, you're writing it off of your perspective of things. It may not be the same perspective of mine, but we're still doing
Mm-hmm.
God's work by sharing our wisdom, our
Yeah.
examples, everything that we've been through. We're sharing it. Like, hey, look at me, like this happened to you in life and it's very, very traumatic, but look it happened to me too. I'm standing here in front of you. She's standing here in front of you. We made it. We
Mm-hmm.
made it. So let that be your inspiration, knowing like, hey, there's somebody that went through the same thing I'm going through and she's fine. She's writing books. Hey, maybe I should journal. And then that sparks that whole writing in somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like share the information that you've learned to your loved ones, and that's how you break generational curses because nobody wants to be like this anymore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I
No,
think
that.
my last straw with the last therapist that I saw, she was telling me about what to do, because I was with somebody that was, a drug addict or whatever. And I'm telling her like how I feel and the same thing, like, so what experience have you been with? And she's like, I really haven't, but I think this might work. And then I'm telling her, well, I don't, what do I do outside of that if you don't know? And she's like, you have an answer for everything. Mhm. I was like, all right, girl, you will never see me
Gotcha.
again.
Yeah.
You will never see me again. Because ain't I supposed to have an answer for everything? aren't you supposed to listen to my answers? Like, what's going on here? Am I the therapist and you're not? Like,
Right, right, right.
you
Well, that's horrible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that experience. But I think that's also a mature response on your end to not give that your energy again. Right. And that's how I feel like that's also how you have better experiences. Back with the comparison thing, just
know?
because I don't know, this whole week people are like, don't compare, don't compare.
You
F that.
have
I'm gonna
to.
compare. I'm gonna compare so I can know what I want and what I don't want. And I'm gonna
It's like
remember
our
these.
before and after.
Yeah, exactly. A before and after. Yeah, you have to, in some cases, especially when you're like analyzing yourself or you're reflecting. And I tell people this, I've been trying to say this as often as possible is pause sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like pause and reflect and see how far you've come. And while we're recording this right now in January, it won't come out until April. Pause, right? It's going to be April when this comes out. Pause. How far have you made it since the beginning of the year? Yes, we can talk politics, but we're not going to talk politics. There's a lot of crazy shit that's going on that can be triggering people and all sorts of emotions. Even then, I want to encourage you to pause. How have things changed with yourself personally in your own individual lives? Close your eyes to the things that's happening in the world and think, where were you this time last year? Have you improved or have things gotten worse? And if things gotten worse, what are you going to do about that?
Mhm.
And so we already talked about, writing as a way to release emotions, exercising, songs, things like that as a way to cope with your trauma. In your books, do you think that your readers pick up on your emotions and on your authenticity with your stories and what you're sharing with them?
So far, I've gotten a lot of good feedback. I mean, that's the only thing that I can hope that somebody can relate to how I'm feeling and the energy is coming across the way it's supposed to. But so far, everybody that's read my book have nothing but good things to say. I had a chiropractor doctor tell me, like, you know what, your book had opened up a lot of my eyes to a lot of things with my wife. Like, I
Mm,
didn't think about like her thoughts and how she's
mm,
feeling when we're laying in bed and I'm not like paying attention to her, stuff like that. Like, I never thought about that until you wrote about that. 'Cause we get
mm,
so busy in our day-to-day lives that, we take for granted the people that love us the most.
yeah.
And I'm like happy. I'm happy that, people are relating to it and people are opening up their eyes about it. There's no
Mm,
cockiness about it, there's no ego to it. It's just a story that, I'm telling and letting you know like what I did to or what I'm doing to work through it. Like the first book, All of Us, is
mm,
exactly that. We're all the same people, we're all doing the same thing, going through the same thing. Like you're not alone when you're on your bed crying, feeling like you're lonely. You're not alone. I did that too you
mm,
know
mm,
but then when Spiritual Awakening was released, that's like the everything I did and it's glorified. So
mm,
here we are and we're all falling and the Spiritual Awakening comes and it's like, wake up, we're here, we're going to be glorified now. So
mm,
that's why we named it Spiritual Awakening. So
mhm.
I'm hoping that it comes across relatable and people can feel my energy. So
Yeah.
far I would have to say yes.
They have. Absolutely. I agree. And how do you think I know because we've worked together. If you guys haven't picked up on that yet, we work closely together with books and just everything in life. This is my friend and so I'm so pleased that she was the first one to sign up and first one to do the interview and so that made me feel so loved. So thank you so much. I just want to plug that in right there. But I remember when we were working on All of Us and whew, the emotions. Let's talk about that. Handling vulnerability. From back then, I want to say that book came out, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago. All of us came out 4 or 5 years ago. And the vulnerability, how do you think you've grown with that? Do you think that you're the same? What do you think about that? Just the vulnerability that you've had to have to share your personal stories and your personal healing in public.
I don't think that's changed.
Mm,
I think I'm more. I don't know. I'm vulnerable no matter what. So I'm like an open book. But if you ask me, I'm going to be truthful with you,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like I'm vulnerable every time I do something, media, post, whatever. I'm still showing my bare skin,
Mm-hmm.
and I just think now I'm more comfortable with it than I was before because I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting a lot of good feedback. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is something I need to be doing because people are healing. I'm healing people without laying hands on them, like at a Christian church, when you lay hands
Mm-hmm.
on somebody, you're healed. No, we're healing people from their inner being out. And
Mm-hmm.
that's very precious. It's very precious to me and very humbling that people want to experience my vulnerability or they're inspired by me being an open book and they're now letting themselves be vulnerable for the people that are around. Because it's so important to be able to be that soft person, male or female, in a safe
Mm-hmm.
place that can talk about their trauma without being judged. And I think once
Absolutely.
we pass that concept of what other people think about us is none of our business, once we grasp that, then we're able to be a little more comfortable with our vulnerability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Ooh, that's so true. I feel like you just convicted me right there, girl. Amen, amen, amen. No, because I think for me, I think what I've been experienced is like I'm vulnerable, but I'm vulnerable with only people I'm comfortable with. Like you're not gonna see, and I'm okay with that. I know that I'm okay with that, but I'm working on it. Like I can be vulnerable with you. I can be vulnerable with people who I know, but I'm still working on that judgment thing. I'm still working on being perceived by people. Um, but I think that working through it for me looks like doing this podcast. It
Mhm.
looks like writing more
We're not
books.
allowed to not be vulnerable. You, especially, are not allowed to do that. You have to be vulnerable in the position that you set yourself up in with
Mm-hmm.
the whole publication business, all that stuff. You are not allowed to not be vulnerable because we look to you. We look
Mm-hmm.
for you. We want to give you our vulnerability. What can you do with this, my golden teacher? You know, you have to be vulnerable and be
Yeah.
comfortable with it.
Yep.
So
And
what other people think about you is none of our business.
right.
Mm.
Right.
We're gonna
No,
piss a lot of people off.
And that's what's getting ready to happen. And it's so crazy. I want to say this time, not this time last year, but like towards the end of last year, I was working with an author, and I was helping her publish her book on chakras. And we were just kind of talking. It was a poetry book on chakras, and we were talking. And I said, you know what's so funny? I said, I feel like I'm going through this experience where my authentic self, she really wants to come forward, but I've been so used to just kind of dimming my light, not only because I realize in some situations my light is very bright and it's disruptive for people. I've seen, I've been in places where I've had women like just have ugly reactions towards me. I haven't done a damn thing to these women. I haven't said anything other than telling my stories of how, I've done things by myself, how I've overcome, blah, 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 and just have had been in situations where people just have an ugly reaction towards me. And so it's like, oh, I'm dimming my light because I do want to be in these spaces. But it's like I've had to remove myself out of these spaces. But I told her, I said, I feel like I'm coming into a time, and I feel like that time is here where I have to be my authentic self because if not, I am depressed. And this is hurting me trying to put myself into this little ass box that somebody else might be comfortable in. But for me, I'm like, my arms are sticking out of this box and I'm
Yeah.
uncomfortable as hell. So I got to get up out of this box. And
And
so,
they're like, ew, look at that healed girl.
okay,
Ew, look at that girl
what
being
is up with
vulnerable.
that? What is up with that? And I know, we and my thing has always been like as a business owner, I want to be perceived as professional. I want to be and I am those things. I had to come to the conclusion with myself like, girl, you're professional as hell. You might cuss a little bit. You might be into, for me, my faith is more sovereign. I'm not a devotee, which for a lot of people, this will be eye opening when they hear this. I'm not a devotee to any deity, any God. For me, I am sovereign. I do study a lot of different spiritual practices. And so I'm well versed on the Bible. I was brought up in a Christian home, Baptist, Christian Baptist, all my life. Um, but part of my healing journey and was just coming to that realization that the things that I believe about myself and the things that I believe about the world, some of them were negatively impacting my life. And I know I'll get a lot of pushback, especially from my Christian friends and family. A lot of my Christian beliefs were harmful to myself and harmful to my relationships. And again, with the comparison thing, if I did not compare and contrast and see about that, I would not be where I am today. And so I was like, I had to let that go. But that was really hard. And that was actually kind of difficult to even say that. But again, this is something I feel like, when I got this idea to do this podcast, because I've been doing podcasts, I've been having discussions, but more so about books and interviewing authors. For me, that was just a safety thing. But I think that's something that happens because I do it myself is I was okay with like dimming my light because I was also kind of scared. And like I was okay with doing the author interviews because I was also kind of scared of being vulnerable. But I'm like, it wasn't, I was bored. Some of those author interviews, girl, you can go back and people that are listening can go back. I'm sorry. I
Oh
just got to say it. Girl, I was bored as hell trying to like get
yeah.
people to like come on, engage, show up, be enthusiastic about your book. And some people were just like
Dimming
freaking
their own goddamn
boring.
light. Because you know what? We're kind of like scared of success because we don't want our other people to be upset because it's not happening to them.
Yeah.
And I was going through that for once I started working with Chase, I had to go through that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I can't really apologize for the success that Chase and I have worked together because I did it. I
Yeah.
was doing the writing. I showed up. I was doing it. He told me, you bullied your way into my studio because I kept, I don't know if I want to work with her. I don't know if I want to work with her. And he's like, I thank God every day that I said yes, that I wanted to work with you. And ever since the day you stepped foot in the studio, it was like you're part of the team. You just fit naturally. And here I'm scared and trying not to like show a
Yeah.
side of me that they're gonna like not like, and I'm gonna get kicked out of the studio because I'm being vulnerable, I'm being too truthful. But Chase grabbed onto that and he
Mm-hmm.
has been mentoring me. So now here I am being played on the radio, writing books, being asked for, stuff like that, getting DMs about wanting to collab and stuff like that. So if I held on to that light that I was dimming because I didn't want to hurt anybody else's feelings, then where would I be right now?
Yeah.
I had to like step out on my own. I could only hold people to be my crutch for so long. Do
Mm-hmm.
it for me, show me, show me. I don't have time for that anymore. Now I'm being pushed into the limelight, especially everything that we've been working on. The
Mm-hmm.
interview that Chase and I did, he said it was going to come out on my birthday, but when I talked to him yesterday, he said after Valentine's Day he wants to drop it. And I'm like, this is perfect timing because now book 3 is almost done. The interview is
Yeah.
going to be done and the orientation all in the same month.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, if God is not telling me,
Let's go.
right now, wake your ass up. There's no more looking for validation from
Mm.
anybody else. And I think that's what
Woo.
you were
Yeah.
saying. Like our validation is not on anybody else's lap, but on ours and
Mhm.
God's. And if anybody has a problem with it, then oh fucking wow. You know what I'm saying? Girl, we are authentic people. I
Gotta
say
be.
fuck a lot, okay? I like to it's like our universal language of flipping you off. Like my grandsons will be like, but I was like, that's my bad, just don't do that at school. But we're our authentic self. I came from, gang related family members, so we weren't at home praying to God and grace and stuff like that when the dinner table came. We're lucky that we even had dinner on the table.
Wow.
So I'm gonna be my authentic self. This is what it
Mm-hmm.
is. This is what I look like. This is what a recovered daughter from a drug addict can look like. It could be
Yeah.
can definitely be worse, but I chose my free will. I chose to not do those kind of drugs. I chose to get myself out of that situation. I lost a lot of family members when I actually spoke up about things that were happening. So I have a lot of my dad's family members that don't like me. But hey, what can I do?
Yeah.
God made me who I am. God gave me all these experiences in life, you know. for me to be able to stand up for my family and say, we're better than this.
Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head because people will always say, "Oh, be authentic, be authentic, be authentic." But then it's like, "Well, I am being authentic and you don't like it." And a lot of people have to come to that realization is a lot of times people are being authentic. You just don't like it. You don't like who they are, and that's okay. And I
Mhm.
think with healing, being your authentic self, that's a product of healing. For
Mhm.
sure. I want to say this all this work that I've done, Winn Publications will turn 7 tomorrow, January 27th, which I'm
Yay.
so blessed and just so grateful for that.
Mm.
At the
Damn, I
same
wish
time,
we were closer. We could go have a drink and toast it up.
man, have a drink for me over there. I definitely will be raising a glass. But one thing that I've noticed just in this last 7 years, because I really started taking my healing journey seriously 7 years ago when I started my business. 7 years ago, my daughter was 3. She was either 3 or 4. She'll be 11 this year.
And
And
she
I'm
writes
like,
her own books.
okay, and I got this girl writing and publishing books together. We're doing this together. And so it's like, for me, my healing was not only one, I want to lead by example. For me, it's really important that I'm not only telling you this, but I'm living this out. And I'm still working on that, still working on leading by example. But two, I'm like, a business is only going to be as good as its leader. And
Mhm.
I know I hold myself to really high standards. I look back at all the things that I've done in 7 years, and I'm like, what? This girl, I was diagnosed with chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. A lot of things come up with that. One of the things that comes up with that is this worry of if people like you or not. And so I'm really big on telling people one of the ways that my business has stayed in business is through referrals. And that means that people like me not because I'm this people pleaser, but because I know what the fuck I'm doing.
Mhm.
Like, I had to look at the facts. My cousin, she's a lawyer, and she's always telling me, Aurelia, fuck your feelings and focus on the facts. The fact of the matter is, you're that girl. You've been doing this. Your work speaks for itself. People want to know who you are now. And so this year, I'm like, okay, let me show up and reintroduce myself. What's up? My name's Aurelia Winn, but I go by Miss Winn. Put some respect on my name.
I earned that shit.
I earned that shit, okay? And
I
and so
mean, think
I'm so
about it.
excited.
Look at all the success that I've had from when we did the first book all the way up into the music. You've
Yeah.
had your hands in all of that.
Thank
So
you for
it
saying
is
that.
okay for you to be like, I am that bitch because look at my people that I'm working with and I have my
Yeah.
hands in all these things and look at how successful, even if it's one, two, or three of us that are working with Win Publications, we're still winning and you still
Hmm.
have your hands in that. Like, what, how else are we going to show you that you are that bitch?
Yeah.
Here we are all these years later. We had 60,000 people listening to that track that day. And
Wow.
we're bubbling from you. So, of course, you need to fuck your feelings and
Right.
step into your zone. This is the year. This is the year for us of action. No more,
Mhm.
let's try this. Or I was thinking about this. No, bitch, let's do this because I
Right.
thought about it. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
step into your light, bitch.
Step into your life, bitch. What? Okay,
Mhm.
I'm gonna take that advice. But what other advice do you think we can give to writers, or really just anyone who's listening who want to start incorporating their personal stories into their work?
So I have this girl, I think you remember Chandrea. Shout out to Chandrea. But
Ta-da!
she's like every now and then she'll be like, Fabs, I really want to write this book. Like, what do I do? Like, should I hire somebody to be a writer? And I'm just like, no, girl, nobody's gonna tell your story but you the way
Yeah.
you need to tell your story. And when we say journal, 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 like really journal, even if you're writing a paragraph that came to your
Hmm.
mind and just write it down or if like something's bothering you, right where it started and where it's at now, there's your story right there.
Yeah.
Journal, journal. That's the only or record because now we're technology savvy.
Hmm.
You can voice record what you're thinking. or you could get on the Google Doc and talk out everything as it's typing out for you. Like there's so many avenues that writers can use now. It's not paper and pen, even though I like paper and pen because I'm old
Mm-hmm.
school, but we're no longer at that level anymore. We can record ourselves. We can record our audio books. We can write books by recording ourselves. That's the only way you're going to be able to do it. And stop caring about what other people think. If your story
Yeah.
is true, your experiences are true, you don't need validation from anybody but yourself at
Mm-hmm.
all, you know? And who cares if you're vulnerable? Who cares if nobody likes you? Nobody likes me either. You know, I don't care. I don't care anymore. It used to bother me, but I don't care anymore. I
Mm.
really don't. Like, okay, you don't like me. You know what? I don't like you either. You know?
Period. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's okay for me not to like you. I'm not a bad person. I'm not
Right.
taking away who I am if I don't like somebody. It's okay
Mm-hmm.
for me not to like. I could love somebody, but it's also okay for me to not like somebody. It's
Mm-hmm.
also okay for me to enjoy the ambience of your own karma. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you
Right.
know, how did you like that? You know? Hey, we're
Yeah.
human. We're human. And it's okay to want karma on somebody else that's
Mm-hmm.
sending you bad energy because where else is your energy, that bad energy going to go if we don't accept it? It's going to go back to the sender.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so important. And I know it wasn't meant to be something that we talked about during this episode, but that's okay. I want to go there because just the spiritual aspect, and it'll be something that I also bring up in upcoming episodes, is like that's major. And talking about shadow work, that's something huge that I was doing as a form of like trying to heal. Like I want to be I want I my healing started with just the desire of just wanting better. I remember I was still actively involved in a Christian church, and I was like at this mom's Bible study, and I remember crying to these girls, telling them like, I'm in the middle of some bullshit right now, and I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I keep looking over this like metaphorical fence and seeing the fucking grass is actually greener on the other side. You guys are not going to sit here and gaslight me and tell me, oh, the grass is greener where you water it. I'm watering my fucking grass, and this bitch keeps dying. I felt like, so what's wrong here? Like I need, and so I just wanted better, and praying wasn't getting it fast enough for me. Doing all these different things was not working for me. And so it was like I found healing when I started looking at other things, other practices, other things that I could do every day. Prayer is still a part of my healing, but I've since taken on other things. And one of those other things has been coming to the realization that while in society they may see some of the things that I do as wrong, such as openly cursing on a podcast that's going to be shared wherever I share it. But that's okay. Like I'm okay. Like I'm okay with a lot of my flaws. I'm okay with being direct. I'm okay with being seen as someone who's mean. I'm okay with being seen as someone who's intense or someone who is impulsive in some cases. Like I'm okay with that, but I've had to understand that these are parts of me that while some people they don't like them, a lot of people love that shit. A lot of people have told me, "Girl, please be straightforward. Don't sugarcoat nothing with me." And they don't take it as being mean because they know who I am. They know it's coming from a place of love. But someone who could know who I am and know that if I'm being straightforward and upfront with you, it might come off as mean, they will take it too hard and stop being friends with me. And I've had
But maybe
experiences
it's
like
not
that.
you being mean. It's not you being
Right.
mean. It's you bring to light of something that they don't want to see. So you're mean now. You're a mean girl. We don't like you because you're
Yeah.
talking about something that I hiding from, and you're so openly talking about it like it's
Mm-hmm.
nothing. But here I'm like low, and I'm dwelling in these feelings, and here you come out saying "fuck your feelings." Well, fuck you too. You know, it's because they don't want to be the light on them. They just want to, you know, and here you come and you're glowing, even though we're struggling inside. They don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody sees how dim we are inside. They only see like how we're glowing or how like the aftermath of everything that we've, everything we had to do to accumulate or to complete the projects that we were working on. We had to go through all of that shadow work. And just because we
Yeah.
didn't show it to a stranger, we're showing it in our safe space. And that's okay because we're all here to help each other heal. So if you don't like me and you don't know me, that's exactly it. You don't know me. So who cares
Yeah.
if you don't like me? Because I don't know you either.
Yeah.
You know, and I went to a dinner for a friend of mine, Luis. He had like this, he's part of the armed forces, and it was like a, I don't know, Christmas thing. And he invited me to come. And there I go. I'm all, dressed up and all that stuff. I'm walking into thinking I'm going to be like in this because it's military. So I'm thinking, you have to dress right. Why, when I walk in there, all these wives were giving me dirty fucking looks, like dirty looks. And I run into this all the time. And I say this all the time. That's why I don't probably have a lot of female friends because they don't understand me. But also, they don't give me the opportunity to get to know me when I walk in the door. Like, is
Mm-hmm.
my energy that strong when I walk in the door that you're quiet and it bugs you of some sort? Like, are you insecure? I'm coming in the way I'm coming in, and you see me dressed up, and you're like, who's this girl? We don't know
Yeah.
this girl. She's all tatted and, she's dressed up, and like, you didn't even give me an opportunity to know who I am. You may
Mm-hmm.
love me. You may love the things that I have to offer you, but
Mm-hmm.
you're dimming your own light when I'm walking in the door. And it's hard for me not to fall into that because I'm so sensitive when it comes to other people's energy around me. I could pick it up. So now
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, am I feeling this way because you're feeling this way? Or is this
Yeah.
me
Or is
feeling
this
this
me?
way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I have to decipher that and just, who cares? Who
Yeah.
cares if you don't like me? Who cares if I walk in the door and you're giving me dirty looks? Like, I don't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a healing journey all on its own to get to that place. I know I feel like we keep talking about this, but I really want people to understand like it takes effort. It does take work. And one of the things, like you said, picking up on other people's energies, I think, people say, well, that's also a trauma response where you can read people's body language, look at their face and see, ooh, that person looks like they don't really like me. Like, let me go this way, or people are judging me or whatever. I think part of it is a trauma response, but I also think it's a spiritual gift, like to be able to read people and know like, okay, let me redirect my energy elsewhere. Sometimes I would think, oh, maybe I'm just like assuming about people, right? This one of the events that's coming to mind is I went to like a women's brunch thing and I came in and it seemed like fine, but sometimes I'm also so freaking blind. So like one of the things my cousin told me was like, girl, sometimes you can be a little ditzy. Like you don't even realize how you impact people. You just come in being yourself and people could be giving you dirty looks. Your ass is over here chowing down on your food, sipping your coffee. And so that would irritate a lot of people. But I do remember this one lady, we were trying to like be friends. We have kids or whatever. We were trying to be friends. And it just did not work out. Eventually, I did see that side of her where she was like, oh, you're a single mom, you're living on your own. Oh, I have a husband. I could never. Like, I feel like I'm a single mom and I have a husband. And I could tell she was like comparing her life with my life, not knowing that I was struggling being in that city, being in that town, worried that I was going to run into my abuser, which I ended up running into him. And that sent me for a spiral and sent my life in a whole different direction. But I talk about that in the book that I'm working on now, and so I won't get into it too much. But it was like, dang, had I paid attention and maybe not ignored it, but I was being myself. So it was, but I
Well,
just
I
I just
feel
wanted
like
to bring that
our
up.
response to these things that are happening, especially now, but our response, that's trauma response. And for
Mm,
us to be able to read other people, that's a gift. That's not
yeah.
trauma. That's a gift that was given to
Mm,
us. But the way we respond to things, that's our trauma. So if we can kind of look at it in that aspect, then we know how to behave ourselves. Like we know how to check
right.
ourselves because we know we're responding in a traumatic way from whatever trauma was that was given to us. But if we're
Mm,
walking in a room and we're able to read the room and read the thoughts and the facial expressions, that's a gift from God for us
mm,
to be able to decipher who we should be around and who we should not be around. You
bingo.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's whew. Hey, well, y'all, I don't know. I hope you've got some jewels and gems and have felt inspired by this conversation. Definitely let us know in the comments. what you think about this episode. I have one more question here, and maybe we have talked about it already, but I just want to know, looking back, specifically talking about writing, and just your healing journey, how has writing impacted your personal growth from writing all of us that book to now, and maybe even before then? Were you writing even before then? Let's wrap it up with a conversation about that.
It's impacted my whole life. It's
Mm,
changed my whole life. You know, people think that I'm like this successful writer and I'm rich and all these things, but they don't see the hustle that has to be done in order for me to be able to pay for artwork, for all that stuff. Like people have an image, I don't know what the fuck they imagine, because here I am, I'm at home with my grandsons, I'm not clocking in and clocking out, but they don't realize the trauma that I had to go through in order to set myself up the way I am setting myself up.
mm,
They don't realize that check that I get, every month, that's from trauma.
mm,
So why would you want to be in my situation? Because I'm at home and you don't want to go to work? Like that's trauma. I'm dealing
mm,
with trauma still. So don't automatically assume, not just me, but with other people, don't automatically assume that they're this rich person and they're happy and they're at home all the time. They work from home. Like you don't know what that person had to go through in order to have their life set up the way they do, like I
mm.
do. Also I'm blessed with four amazing adult kids, and we have a big house, but my kids are adults. So we all put in a portion of our rent. So no, I don't have to pay my rent 100% because I have grown ass adults that have good ass jobs that I'm trying to teach how to be independent and how to, pay bills and pay their rent and stuff like that. And so far we're doing amazing over here.
Mm.
Karina has her own place. David and Marty, they have a really good job that I'm moving out. Like, bye
Yeah.
guys, I'm moving out. They're gonna
Peace.
take over
Yeah.
this house, and I'm gonna go help Karina. Not that she needs help, but I need to spend more time with her kids because I've been here with my grandsons all these years, and I feel like it's her
Mm.
turn too. She deserves it too. But it's impacted my life. It's done both. It's given me free will to write at my own pace,
Mm.
but also when the royalties come in, because we all felt like big bosses when that royalty,
Okay.
yeah,
Yep.
that royalty went out, we're just like, we could do this more
Oh yeah.
often, but at the same time, reliving and rehealing is a
Mm.
day-to-day thing. It doesn't ever go away.
Yeah.
So don't wait. Don't wait. Just
Don't
get your
worry.
ass up and go do whatever the fuck it is that you're here to do. Stop being scared.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
I'm telling myself that too. Don't worry. Yep, yep.
that's so funny because well, okay, this will be the last thing because look, we could talk. We could talk for hours, okay? Look, don't even. But I want to say last week I was taking an Uber home from work, and I just noticed right off the bat, I got into the Uber's car and it was so freaking bright in the car. I'm like, why is it so bright in here? I'm like, okay, you know what? This is gonna be a good ride. I already felt it. And one of the things that he asked me, shout out to Raul. I don't know if you'll ever see this, but dude, you made an impact on me. One of the things that he's asked me, which no one has really ever asked me before, is like, what are you afraid of? And I was like, oh, that's so funny that you say that. I said, I'm afraid of heights. Because he was telling me he's a window cleaner. And I'm like, damn, bro, I could never do that. I'm like, that's awesome. Tell me about it. He's like, yeah. He's like, the tallest building I've ever worked on was 70 floors. I'm like, shit. And he's like, we're just on the ropes. I'm like, you're just on the ropes. He's like, we're just covering the ropes. I'm like, bro, you're not scared? Like the rope is gonna snap and you're gonna fall. He's like, I'm never scared. I'm like, wow. He's like, you gotta face your fears. And just hearing him say that, I was like, a stranger, you know? And he's like, if you face your fear of heights, because I said, my thing is, and I might do this, we'll see, to be determined, is I said my fear is walking across San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. Like I physically get sick thinking about walking across the bridge. Like even now I feel dizzy as hell talking about this. I cannot even
Well, we can always go to
imagine the
Sacramento
trauma.
and walk that bridge.
Okay,
Sacramento's like a little bit smaller. We could like,
work
gradually work our way.
exactly, gradually work our way up to it. But he was like, when you face that fear, he's like, it's gonna do so much for you, for your subconscious mind. Like you're gonna be able to face anything after that. And I was just like, okay. But hearing you say that again, like, don't be afraid, like that triggered that memory of him saying, just face your fear, just walk across that bridge. He was like, do you think you could jump out of a plane? I said, I don't know. That's a different kind of a height. I said, I could do roller coasters. You know, roller coasters go high and low. I said, but just something about walking across a stationary bridge, it makes me nauseous. And he was like, girl, he's like, let me know when you cross that bridge. He's like, I'm gonna be so proud of you.
Yeah.
So
So I'm gonna
that's
leave you with this for you to think about this. Okay. I know we're talking about being vulnerable and we don't want anybody to see that part of us. Look at how much of an impact a stranger gave you just in an
yeah.
Uber ride home. You give that impact to people that watch you that you don't even know.
Wow.
You do that. And they don't even, some people don't even know you. But
Yeah.
just by watching and keeping up with the things that you're doing, you're making the same impact that that guy made on you to people that you don't
Wow.
even know.
Yeah. Yeah. That just gave me chills. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I thank you for saying that because and this is why it's so good to have at least 3 or 4 people in your corner. I know Fabs is in my corner for sure. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we just don't realize how good we are. You know what I'm saying? I know I shared a quote the other day on Facebook about, the giant can look in the mirror and not see anything just because they're so used to who they are. They're just being themselves 80% of the time. Even if I am trying to dim my light in some cases, I can't help that I am who the fuck I am. I just am who I am. And so it's like I can look in the mirror every day and I just see myself. I see my bangs. I love my little bangs here and my little clip ins and stuff. And I'm so used to the way I look and the way that I behave that I don't realize to other people I might look like a giant. And I'm so scared of looking unprofessional or I'm so scared of looking mean. Like I don't want to be mean. I want people to know that I'm full of love and I want them to work with me because I'm full of love and I'm good at what I do. But the whole time I'm worried about that, I need to be focused on the positive impact that I am having on people. And like you said, ignore not caring about the other bullshit, not caring about, you know what I'm saying? And so thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. I need to
Yeah.
remember that as well. Encouragers also have to have people that encourage them. And that's
Make
something
your
that,
mark, bitch. Make your mark.
period, period. And so,
That's it for today's check in. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, hit that subscribe or follow button, and let's keep growing together. Hey, and if you're tuning in on YouTube, drop your after emoji in the comments and tell me what shifted for you. I'll see you next time on Miss Winn Checkin In, where creativity is a pathway to wellness.